Namaste and hello, this is your Sanskrit instructor welcoming you back into lesson number 175. A transitive verb is a verb that does not take a direct object. So after you have that verb, you cannot have an object after an intransitive verb. So in Sanskrit, not only transitive verbs but intransitive verbs also can be conjugated in the passive voice. Thus, the sentence, the horse runs, can be turned into a passive, which means running is being done by the horse or the action of running is done by the horse. That is what is called passive impersonal. The verb is always in the third person singular passive. In the change from the active to the passive impersonal, the nominative of the active voice becomes an instrumental, and then the verb changes from the active to the third person singular passive. The tense or the mood of the active voice should be preserved. So just like how when we were converting active voices to passive, we are having the same concept here. On the left side, we have an example sentence on the active voice, and then on the right hand side, we have an example sentence of the passive impersonal. So the example for an active voice for nominative is saratihi vahanti, which becomes sarito vahanti. So the rivers are in the nominative case, and vahanti is to flow, third person plural. And the rivers is taking the instrumental case in the passive impersonal. So you have sarid pihi, by the rivers, and then the verb uhyate, which means flowing is being done. And that means flowing is being done. So it always has to be in the third person singular passive, because it's the flowing that's being done. You're not directing that to the word rivers anymore. You're taking away the subject. That's why flowing is being done by the rivers. So flowing almost seems to be like the subject of your sentence. That's why this needs to be in the passive impersonal. And it has to be third person singular. So we had third person plural because of the rivers, change to third person singulars. Flowing is being done by the rivers. So you end up with saradbhihi uhyate, and that ends up being saradbhir uhyate. In the change from the passive impersonal to the active voice, the instrumental of the passive impersonal becomes a nominative, and the verb changes from passive to active and agrees in the person and number with its new subject. The tense or the mood of the passive should be preserved. So we're working backwards here. So now this time on the left hand side, we have the passive impersonal, and then on the right hand side, we're going to convert that into the active voice. So this sentence is, it should be spoken by you. So we have yoshmabhihi, by you in the instrumental case, and then our verb in third person singular passive, udyeta, it should be spoken. And then you end up with, this should be yoshma bhir udyeta as your final answer. And then if you want to convert that into the active voice, to say you should speak and not it should be spoken by you. Yoshmabhihi turns into nominative. Yoshmabhihi is second person. That's going to change into yuyam, which means you. And then Udyeta is going to turn into, it's, remember, this is all still in the, it's all in present tense. So the tense is still preserved here. We're just changing the mood from passive. We're just changing it from passive to active voice. Of course, if the mood was potential or imperfect, or if it was imperative, you would still have to preserve that. So that change is to vadeta, because this is in the potential. This is potential third person singular. Not third person, second person. Second person singular. Actually, I was right. This is third person singular. Because the reason why this is third person singular is because the word you is already being indicated by what is conjugated, what is declined here in the nominative case. So just like any noun that you would make agree with the verb, nominative case, if it's singular, it's just going to take third person singular. So I guess that's why they kept it to third person singular. If I wanted this to be in second person singular, if I wanted this to be in the potential second person singular, then vadet would be vadetaha. Vadetaha. I don't see why it can't be vadetaha, because it is referring to you, and that is in second person anyway. But in any case, the verb changes from passive to active, and the verb is supposed to agree in person and number with its new subject. If you're considering the nominative case, then I guess you would just stick with vadeta. I consider the fact that you is second person, is a second person type of pronoun that is being conjugated, that is being declined. And that is why my first instincts went to vadetaha. So I don't see why either one can be used, but anyhow, this is how you would transfer or convert a passive personal into the active voice, and then from active to passive. And you should be able to get the idea just given the two examples. These can switch, and these two can switch as well. And with that, this is your Sanskrit instructor signing off with a namaste.